The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. And tonight my guest is my father, Max Bendich. He's been on 2 other episodes, and right now we're going to talk about his experience, some highlights of his experience during World War II. Welcome to the show, Pop.
Thank you.
So, Dad, when you were in France, you said you were near the Champs-Élysées, you were working near the Arc de Triomphe and all that. What was one of the interests that you were interested in? Who were you looking for?
I was interested in finding where the Jewish people lived. I know there were no Jews. The Jewish people were killed,
right.
But they had to live somewhere.
Right.
So what did I do? I was there a week and a half after the liberation,
right.
And at that time we were still carrying guns. I carried the.
Right. No, but what were you doing?
So I went over to a man. I said, Where did the Jews live? At first, one ran away when he heard that.
Right.
The other man looked at me. He knew that I was serious.
Right.
He says, "You take the subway, the metro thing. They had 12. The Star. That's
right.
what. That's the
So
station.
you took the
that's
metro.
the station, and you go downstairs the subway. It's a beautiful subway.
Right.
And you go take this lane,
okay.
train, and this lane, and you're going to get off at a place called Le Marais.
Right.
Le Marais is something. It's a section, and where the Jews lived.
Right.
What did I do? I went and I followed his orders.
Right.
I came out.
Right.
I came out. No one is there. Most of them are on the Champs-Élysées. No
Right.
soldier. And I was walking and seeing. And I saw signs on the wall, some Jewish signs that were emblazoned or something in the years that the Germans were there.
Right.
And I walked, and I saw another man. I went over to him, I said, "Look, I want to know, where did they live?" He also said, "No, go 1 block this way and go 1 block that way, and you'll see something."
Okay, so what did you see?
What did I see? I came there. I was amazed. Building after building, maybe for about a mile, there were the barracks, like the barracks in the army.
Right.
I saw people looking out of the window, and they're watching me as I'm going to them. I still have the gun on my shoulder.
Right.
And I go to the door. I knock on the door. No one answers. I open it up, and I see only women and children.
Okay.
I went over
And
to
they were Jewish women and children?
Yeah, as far as I know, I thought they didn't. None of them knew Yiddish.
Right.
None of them.
Right.
And I said, I'm a Jewish. I'm this and that, and I even talked in French. I knew
Right.
French at that time. And finally, they believed me that I'm a Jewish guy. But while I was there, I noticed 2 children. There were a lot of children.
Right.
And I went over to the 2 children. I gave them candy.
Right.
And the women were telling me, "Get away from the kids. Stay with me and stay with this."
Right.
And when I left,
Right.
and making it my business, I'm going to be back there again.
Okay, so you went there several times, and
Several times.
And each time you went there, who did you see? You went to visit the children?
Only visit the children.
And what were their names? Do you want me?
I don't know this. One name was Cecile, and her sister.
And they were both orphans, right?
Their parents were killed.
Right.
And
So I know some of the story because I've heard it for the last 57 years. Did you, they took you to places, right? Different places. Because they became like friends of yours, right?
Well, I mean, friends in a family.
Right, like family.
Family.
And they took you to, like,
I'll tell you.
Okay.
They took me to the Folie Bergère. They showed me why they saw soldiers going there.
Right.
And I saw the Moulin Rouge. But where did I take them?
Right.
To the opera.
Right.
Why? It was cheap for the American, even though it was cheap.
Right.
And they liked it.
Right.
And almost every opera, Alan,
Yeah.
we were able to, we saw with them.
Okay. So how long were you stationed in France again?
I was stationed in France 9 months.
Okay, so during those 9 months, after you met Cecile and her sister, you spent almost all your time going places with them. And anything else happened then? When did Mom get involved, or was that later? When
Wait,
Mom
no.
bringing stuff over to...
So with Cecile,
Yes.
we started giving them those candies.
Yeah.
I was friends. I was friends with the chef in the army in our place where we eat.
Right.
He gave us extra food, and I would bring them the food, and they would sell it, and they would do something else.
Right.
And I wrote to Mom.
Right.
We have girls and everything. Mom would go to a bazaar,
Right.
buy things, used things,
Right.
and they're nice.
Right.
Dresses only for
Right.
dress, and she would send me packages,
Right.
and I would bring it over to the girls.
Right.
They either used
Right.
or sold it.
Okay. They knew that you kept on bringing stuff over.
I kept on bringing stuff, and Mom was sending it.
Right. Okay. And then, so what happens? You get your orders you have to leave France.
Well, we get that's yes. That was a little later.
Well, right. I mean, what happened? Anything else of substance happened before then? Oh, yes, there was. Before then, where else did they take you?
They took me to a place called Vel d'Ive. If you translate it, Vel, it's a velodrome, d'Ive of summer.
Okay.
And it's like Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Why are they taking me there? It seems that a very important man he exiled himself to
He was exiled?
to the Soviet Union,
Right.
came back. This man's name was
Torres.
Maurice Torres,
Right.
and he was the president of the Communist Party
In France.
in France.
Right.
So I'm in that place, the Madison Square Garden.
And you're in uniform, right?
And only
And at the time, the communists and the Americans were allies.
We're allies.
Right.
Oh, sure. And the place is mobbed.
Right.
And I saw that the minute he's there, the important people were were going up the steps and shaking hands with him.
Right.
And Cecile says to me, "Go up there." I thought, "Are you crazy?" I said, "Please go up there and shake hands." I went up there, walked up to him, and the announcer says, "In America, the Soldat American, yay!" They were applauding.
Right.
I shook his hand and said, "Good luck to you. I'm glad that you're back." And I came down.
Right.
Everything going good. As I'm walking, somebody talks to me in English. A reporter of the Herald Tribune.
The International Herald Tribune.
The international. This was the
Right.
Parisian
Right.
Herald Tribune.
Right.
And he asked me, but he saw me. "Could I write your name? What's your name?" I said, "Max Bendich." "You don't mind if I'm writing your name,
Right.
and where do you live?" And I told him where I lived and everything. And he wrote it.
Right.
The next day, Mom, working for the GAO
In the United States.
in the United States,
Right.
noticed that they're looking. The people were looking at her, and when they would read the paper, they would put it in a basket. And what paper? The Herald Tribune. And she would pick it up and go on the train and read it.
Right.
So this time also, they didn't say a word to her.
Right.
She opens, takes the paper, and she's reading the paper and gives a scream. And when in the audience was an American soldier whose name is Max Bendich, of 150th Street.
Right. And what about now the other person who was excited about it, I guess, was your mother-in-law, right? My Bubby.
Wait. She was the most important tenant in that house. People were coming over to her and doing everything. Anyway, at least, and I still have the paper, and it's good. Right. I went up there.
So you met the head of the Communist
Yes.
Party of France. Okay, so is that the other highlight that you wanted to talk about?
It's an important thing.
Well, but was there anything else of other than, I mean, for that area? Because there are other things that we.
Well, for that area, that's it.
Okay, so you went to Holland. Is that correct?
Wait, no, not yet. I had to leave Paris because in Holland, the Second Armored Division, we had to go for the Battle of the Bulge.
Right, but you talked about the Battle of the Bulge in the
I know
last
it. Yes.
episode that we
No,
talked about.
no,
So
you asked me. In order.
Okay, so there was the Battle of after the Battle of the Bulge. What happened?
After the Battle of the Bulge,
Yes.
we went. I was stationed in Holland. Wait, I was stationed in Holland.
Right.
Why? They had a rest camp there.
Right.
And here, most of the soldiers were privates.
Right.
In the infantry, they're privates. They
Right.
can't. And I was a corporal at T5.
Right.
And believe it or not, I was in charge of the rest camp
Right.
with 4 fellas. But the rest camp, it's like a school, and they had cots. We had to make it clean and everything. So we worked. We were there, and instead of working for a week, we worked for about 4 or 5 days. We had 2 days off,
Right.
and I gave them the 2 days off.
Right.
And they went. We were in a place called Maastricht, Holland,
Okay.
20 miles away.
Right.
Hasselt, Belgium.
Right.
You saw the border. They went off in the border. Maastricht, Holland had better money, stronger than Hasselt with the franc. They were with the guilder.
Okay.
And so the soldiers would come in with Russian money, and I was transferring it from one to another.
Right.
And
You
as
did
I'm
like
transferring
the
it, I made
exchange.
an extra $1, and I
The
made
foreign exchange.
and I became a banker, like. And Alan, I made some money,
Right.
sent it home.
Right. So also, wasn't one area dry and the other area was not dry?
That's it. I'm sorry. We went, and in Holland it was dry.
You weren't allowed to have any alcohol.
No alcohol at all. But you go to Belgium. So they went over to Belgium. But I had a fellow, usually with a Jeep, and he would take me there. I would buy the liquor,
Right.
and I'd come back again, leave, and
We got to say one story, Pop. How about the time when you couldn't get a ride back?
now this is unbelievable. And I had a lot of money, maybe $1,000.
And you had bottles of booze.
And had bottles of booze. I had money.
Right.
And here, usually I give a lift. They stop, and because
you're a
Jeep,
soldier,
a soldier.
Right.
I gave a lift. The lieutenant I'm waiting for the lieutenant. I had to wait almost. I had to walk 20 miles with liquor, 20 miles
With all this money.
With money. A guy could have shot me. He would have made.
Made a fortune.
He
Right.
could have made.
And then what happened? Didn't you get on? Wasn't there a situation also where you got on the back of a motorcycle?
Oh wait, no. I'm walking along again. No, this is in Germany.
Oh wait, so we'll get there later.
All right.
Okay, we'll get there later. So, what happened? What happened from going to? Okay, so let's say Holland. Let's
Yes.
say that aspect of it is over. You were next moved to Berlin.
To
right?
Berlin.
And you were honored to be one of the occupying forces of Berlin. Right. Now you had mentioned in the other episode that how it was cut up between, like, I guess Russia had a sector, America had a sector, France and England.
Right.
What happened in Germany for you?
We're going on the highway,
Yes.
and we're going to Berlin.
Right.
And we had the tanks, the Sherman tanks.
Right.
We had there, and we're going. All of a sudden, we stop. We heard the Russians are leaving. They're going to another section of and we line up our tanks, and we line up everything,
Right.
and we looking at each other, and the Russians stop.
Right.
Alan, but what was the beginning of them?
Right.
Horses and wagon.
Really?
Horse.
Right.
And then came the other. And finally they stopped.
Right.
We looked at each other, and no fraternization.
Oh, okay.
As I was saying, no fraternization. And we didn't. The Russians were leaving the tanks and the horse, and they're running over with vodka and black bread. And we were talking with them. We were friends. Fraternization was broken. Alan, now, believe it or not, the worst thing of food for the American soldier
Right.
was white bread.
Right.
That white bread, for them it was called cake.
Right.
And they gave us black bread, and they gave us vodka. All of a sudden it stopped.
Right.
And they had to go on the way, and we went on the way. And from that moment on, we went into Berlin, where we were stationed, and that's it.
Yeah. So no, but wasn't there some trading that happened between the Russians?
Wait. So we're in Berlin, they have a big monument there, and I'm in this outfit that has to go with rations and to do everything.
Oh, what was your job?
I knew how to read a slide rule.
Right. And you were like the only one who knew how to read the
And
slide rule,
when
right?
I went to I didn't even mention it.
Right.
When I went to the office, I said, "Why don't you guys get a slide rule? And look how easy it is to give this company so much food."
Because how many people? There were like thousands of people that had to eat, and everyone was making mistakes with the ordering, right?
They weren't making mistakes.
Yeah.
They were given, if let's say you had a 10-pound bag of potatoes,
Right.
and you're only supposed to get 7 pounds.
Right.
As long as it's more than 5 pounds, they gave them the 10 pounds.
Right.
Well, they said, "You want to do it? Do it."
Right.
They gave me a job with the
Slide rule.
with the slide rule,
Right.
and little by little, different companies would come over and say, "How come I'm getting to this?" And how I said,
You're getting the right fund.
You're getting. Alan, Mister, you know the slide
I
rule.
know,
You
I
slide
know.
this way, you go this way.
It was before calculators, right? It's the same thing as a calculator, except it was under rule.
This was slide rule.
I know, and you were the only one who knew it.
And-
And as a result of that, everyone was getting the rations or whatever they were supposed to get.
And that's right. Now,
Okay.
all of a sudden, the Russians get paid
Right.
salary, 5 years' salary, and they cannot send that money home. Spend it.
Right.
How do you spend it? The Americans, and this who started it, I don't
Right,
know.
right.
A carton of cigarettes was sold for $100.
I mean, that's how much it costs now, but it was probably worth about
a dollar.
$1. A dollar.
You go to PS.
Right.
100. And what would happen? You couldn't. There weren't cigarettes. Also, they liked watches.
Right.
The most important watch was a Mickey Mouse. You can get
Yeah.
the smallest amount on for any type of a watch.
Yeah.
$500. In other words,
Because they had all this money, right?
They had
script.
They had script,
Right.
and $100 script. 1, 2, and I was raz, dva, tri, четыре. I learned
how to count hundreds.
in Russian, right?
Right.
And what was I again? And I would get rides because of I knew the Air Force. I know they liked me. They
Right.
all liked me, and I get a ride down. Oh, I think I told you in the over.
Right.
I had three. We were 3 Jewish boys.
Right.
I was the only one who left.
Yeah.
They were still there. The excuse was, "Come on, give me a ride." I in Paris. Once I got to Paris, I went. I bought
Watches.
and sometimes I had to have lug Alan.
Yeah.
I had to lug the
Cigarettes.
The cigarettes. No, it kept on and kept on.
So
and
you
I
made a
was
lot of money.
Wait,
And you were selling, wait.
now comes something else.
What
do you do with the money? Yeah, I sent it home. I sent home everything. Wait a minute. After a while,
Oh, wait. Oh, right. Okay. So
after a while, the Stars and Stripes was a paper.
Right.
Now listen to what they write down.
Right.
U.S. paid $2 million. They sent home $9 million.
Right.
No, only
Okay.
because of that, the Russian general comes over, breaks it up, get out of this place.
Right.
Even though it's in the
Right.
American zone, but still the Russian. All right, so we left that. But even though we left it, they went to another place,
Right.
and we were selling it,
Right.
and we had money.
Okay. So, but what happened?
What happened?
Right.
Oh, and the new law, you can't send home any more than you make.
Okay. So what? So what did you figure out how to do?
Wait, no. But I figured it out. The officers, very little, they spent the money.
Right.
They were having
So
a good time.
whatever the officers got, they spent.
They spent.
Right.
I went over there, I say $300, and I said to them, make out a money order to my wife.
Right.
For $300, I'll give you $600.
Okay. So you gave them twice the amount of their money.
And what did I give them? I had stacks of $100.
And what would they give you?
A money order to my wife.
So mom would got. So how many? Wait, no. How many times did you do these transactions?
As often as I could, and
So,
a lot of time.
Okay. And each time there was a money order that was signed by a different officer,
a different-
or the same officer,
No, for
month
different-
after month,
Yeah.
and it was going to mom.
It was going to mom.
And mom was going to the bank.
And
And
she told it to me she said, "Max, I was getting so much money. I go to the bank. I felt like a prostitute, getting paid by these." But Alan,
Yes.
it worked.
Right.
It worked for me. It worked for everybody.
And was it exciting for you, Daddy?
It was exciting. Why was that exciting? I never saw so much money in my life.
Right.
I actually didn't.
Right.
And I was able to becoming like a banker. Here's $600, script.
Right.
You could
That script was just paper.
piece of, like a dollar bill, you know. But
Yeah.
everyone was $100 thing.
Unbelievable.
And little by little, and before I came home,
Right.
I almost got rid of everything.
Now, before you go on, also, wasn't there? What about the not just the money? Okay, let's go to a different thing.
Right.
You were at the Reichstag, right? Right, and they had barrels and barrels of. Okay,
Of-
do it.
all right,
It has to be quick though.
Right. So I had the opportunity, I had time. I went all over. The Reichstag was in Congress or whatever,
Right.
where Hitler was. And I was there. I walked down there. I mean, what do you notice? You ever see these people who wear the medals and
Right.
everything? And there was a barrel of medals.
Right.
And I went and I took medals.
And everybody did, you said.
Right, naturally. And I sent those home, and Dorothy's brother,
Sidney.
young child, they were giving it to everybody.
Imagine having those now, Dad. Could you imagine?
It never occurred to me, yeah.
But okay, another thing. When you were there, did you actually see German prisoners?
Oh, wait. I saw German prisoners in the United States also.
No, but I'm talking about. We're not talking about the United States. We're just
no.
talking about in Europe at this point.
In Europe, I don't know if I saw German prisoners,
Right.
but what did I see? Displaced people
Right.
walking for miles and miles from one city to another city. The war's over,
Right.
and
But you didn't see any. You didn't see concentration camps or anything. Like that.
no. The only thing I saw was when I was in
France,
Paris. In Paris.
Oh yeah. Okay. Then the next thing. When you had left Paris, going back there,
Right.
you gave them your address, right?
No, I gave. Well, that's already.
No, but we're gonna get.
Yes, I
yeah.
gave
You
Cecile.
left your address.
I left my address with Cecile.
Okay, that's because that's going to be for the next
That's
episode.
right.
Okay, so let's say at this point, you've already sold all your watches.
Well, sold.
You made thousands and thousands of dollars on cigarettes. What happened after that? Was there a point in time when you realized that you weren't going to be occupying Germany anymore?
No, I know it. Right.
Okay, so what
The
happened?
minute we went into Germany
Yeah.
and into Berlin,
Right.
I knew. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so what happened? I know you
nothing.
knew it. So what happened after that?
After I went home.
Yeah, but okay, so
I got the points,
right.
and I went
So
home.
everyone was waiting to get the points.
Everyone was getting to get the points.
Okay, so
And
you
to
get the ship comes in.
Well,
So to talk about that story. What?
I don't remember.
No, the story is that you take the ship ride home,
Right?
and they say no one.
Oh, wait. Oh, I don't, now this happened all the time. You had to be written up to go out. So you look like a bum, you know. Here, and what did I do? Everybody's taking their their clothes off and throwing them on they're getting rid of the jail. What was I doing? I pick up this jacket, I pick up this jacket, and I had a duffel bag
of army clothes?
army clothes.
Right.
We're going home.
Right.
And they had already broken down the fences.
Right.
This is,
And they said you have to wait until we. Wait.
and he said, if anybody leaves this, you'll never be discharged. But everybody, I was a frightened guy.
Okay.
They did it, I did it.
What did what?
I went through the fence, got on a bus, got on a train, whatever, I don't remember.
Whatever it was.
And then came to New York, and then we got on the subway.
Yeah.
Now, I thought they're going to look at me.
Right.
Nah, they're so, remember this has been going on
They
for
were
a
so
while.
used to seeing
And I
GIs.
see GIs, and I came home, I rang the bell, and I looked like a bum.
Right.
Okay, and I'm home.
That's it.
And Alan, it was unbelievable.
I know you told me that you had a good life in the army. It's you even said
Alan,
that.
I'm telling you, even this, I had a wonderful life in the army because of one thing. I did the work that they told me to do. That's it.
And you didn't know, and you were a clerk, so you
I
didn't
know as a
fight.
clerk, and they did a good job. They realized I was a better clerk than to make the telephone companies.
Right, that's what you talked about before. Right, that's it.
Okay,
So
I
that-
read the book, and
know.
I want to tell you it was easy,
Right.
and everything.
Right. So you're back home,
I'm back home.
and what did you do? Like, do you remember what happened in the early times that you were back home? What you were?
Oh, the first of all, I had to go. Wait, almost immediately
Right.
I came home. I took a rest somehow. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, you rest and do this. And I had to make a living.
Right.
I had money. So I bought a laundry.
Right, with your father, right?
With my father, my father and I.
Right.
And eventually my father left because he had something. And Mom came down to the laundry.
Right. No, but before then, so how long did you work with your father? About 5 years?
I don't remember.
I think that's what we talked about, because the
okay.
kids, my sister, okay, the first thing that happened, actually, I think,
wait,
what happened
wait,
9 months after you came home?
10 months.
10 months.
I came home that day, and 10 months later, Miriam was born.
Miriam Jean Bendich was born.
She was, and then a few years later, not David, my son David was
That's
born.
it,
your
David
brother.
Mark Bendich. He was
That's
born in 49. So Mimi was born in 46.
46.
And David was born in 49. And you still, when they were kids, you were still living, you didn't buy a house yet.
No, we were living in 1700 Bryant Avenue.
And your laundry was in Manhattan.
Was in Manhattan.
Right. And I even remember the laundry, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But actually, we could do that. Then, and you used to pick up and deliver laundry, right?
Yes.
And how did you even how did you even realize that would be the way, I mean, why, a lot of places people just drop the stuff off.
That's if the people drop it in the neighborhood. The neighborhood drops it. But there isn't so much neighborhood business.
Right.
And I'm not the only one. Every laundry had a laundry truck.
Right, but you did it, right?
And Alan, I did it. I'm a hustler.
Right. But in the beginning, was it, you were a hustler, but in the beginning, were you successful?
Right. The idea of being successful, I expected more.
Right.
And I didn't get it more.
Right. It took a while, right?
It took a while. But even though it took a while, I got the experience how to do it, how to talk to people, and everything. And they liked me.
And when you came back, what was it like for your parents and Mom's parents? I mean, it must have been, I mean, I know that your brother-in-law, Sidney and Jack were, I mean, not Sidney, Jack was overseas. He had a much rougher experience than you did.
Only because he was a can you imagine a very religious fellow.
Right.
He wouldn't eat anything that's not kosher. Right? So they sent him to the South Pacific.
Right.
And the Germans weren't so busy at that time, and we would get food from Australia.
Right.
And we got kosher food from Australia, and he ate it.
Okay.
All of a sudden, the Germans were sinking our ships down there, sinking the ships and there were no food, and he got the food. He took the.
Okay.
He almost died.
Right.
And they gave him a Section 8.
Right.
And he came home.
Right. He had a rough time.
He had a rough.
Okay. You know, it's. I guess we're finished with World War II. We're already home at this point.
All right. Yeah, I'm home.
At this point, it might be a good time to say that this episode is over.
Wonderful.
And we'll continue on the next episode. Okay, Pop?
To be continued.
To be continued. That's a wrap. Take care.